Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. Hello, how's it going? And we're gonna get right into things. We're just gonna keep playing our roguey boy here. Just gonna hang out and have some fun. You know, let's see where we're at. We're keep going with this quest, and we're gonna try and get through the campaign a bit. I don't think jumping into monos this early would be smart on a less optimal build path, you know? I will warn you right up. So this is a little shorter stream today. We had a little thing internally that I wanted to be a part of, so I had to delay it a little bit. But so we are light on spoilers, but I do have one spoiler to share today. And I'll tell you right up front. It's a good one. I'm excited about it. You won't even know what it is. Foreshadowing. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hanging gaming. Oh, Aries! Thank you very much for the resub. 3 months in a row. Glad to have you here. Hope you're having fun. All that good jazz.
Easy. Too easy.
Easy. We do need to get, some more damage. We need to get a new weapon. Our weapon's fine. It's out of forging potential, though, so it needs some more stuff. Lang! Welcome, everyone, with the raiding party from Lang! How's it going, everybody? Glad to have you here. If this is any of your first times here, and you have a question for me, please put Last Epoch game in the question, so I see it and I can answer it for you. We also stream for charity here. Our charity this month is World Neighbors. Today's the last day of that. We'll have a new one for you next month. You can see that right above my head. We were looking for some chests earlier, some chest pieces. Shadow Cascade and Puncture are not things we use. I had a genius idea! Alright, good. Let's hear it. The other day, what if you had skill trees but attached to individual weapons armor that could grind for? Have you guys considered something like this? Yes, we've considered exactly that before. Yeah, and there's concerns around are we in a previous specialization system, if you unequipped, we actually fixed this a little while ago, because so for a long time, if you like were respecking your character and you're like the bar came below the line, it would unequip the skill and despecialize it, because you couldn't have it up here or down here. Like if it wasn't down here, you couldn't have it up here. And so we're like, okay, well, if an item ever gave you an ability and you just do this, like what's gonna happen is it just gonna like remove all your points and de-level the skill, which would have been problematic. Ooh, I was talking about a new weapon. That might be one right there. And yeah, so we talked about different things to do there, different ways to fix that, and it would be cool. It would be the first time that there'd be a skill that multiple classes could have. Now, at the same time, you could put it on a class-specific weapon. You also could do weird things we talked about, of like putting one class's ability in. Why is this still telling me to go down here? Did I miss something? It's just crazy. I think it's just a bug. Where you could put like a class's weapon on like one class's ability on a weapon to give to another class. So you could have like the example I heard for this, and this is all hypothetical, spitball and stuff. Like we have no idea if this is gonna happen or not. But the first example I heard of why this idea was brought up, I can't remember if this is a community member or someone on the team or what, but it was like a helmet, a rogue specific helmet that gave you the ability summon wolves. And this meant you could make a rogue that had like you kind of like force a ranger class to happen. And yeah, I thought that was cool. That was a cool idea. Because we've always been kind of like medium, like hard classing. So there's like really soft classed games, like PoE's very soft classed. And then we were like a little more hard classed, but like because there's like you can get as a marksman, you can get synchronous strike if you want. So it's not like super hard classed. Good sound on that. How am I today? I'm doing pretty good. How are you today? Because I'm a genius too? Yeah, that's right. Have you considered adding a notification when max bonus stability is achieved on an echo? No. Also, the skill tree on weapon idea comes from PoE New League XD. I have completely, I haven't seen anything from the new PoE League at all, and everything I was just talking about was from about a year ago. But that's cool that it's the same sort of thing. I mean, it's really interesting. You see ideas like this pop up. There was something that we added to the game. I can't remember if we added it internally, and then PoE launched it, and then we released it, or if we launched it first and then PoE launched it. It's happened a couple times where we're like, oh, we were just about to do that, and then we're like, I just do it anyways, it's fine. Or like we do something, the PoE does it right after, and the timing is so close that you're like, there's no way they took it from us because they had to have that in development beforehand. I just think it's so cool when stuff like that happens. There's only so many dials you can turn and so many mechanics you can interact with, so like eventually like a lot of those things are going to be shared anyways.
What brings you here?
Yeah, sure. 5K sounds good.
Farewell.
Oh, we got a new passive. Let's get that going. Here? Here. Armor shred. Love it. Good afternoon, Aaron. How's it going? Yeah, so for anyone here, if you do have a question, please put at Last Epoch game in the question so I see it a little bit easier, but I do see a couple here that I will answer anyways. Any idea we can expect more multiplayer sync and load time improvements? Just wanted it to feel as smooth as single player. Yeah, I mean, and this cough will not go away. Sorry about that. Yeah, like this is the sort of stuff we're always working on, always adding, you know, all that sort of stuff. I can't give like an exact date of like when it's gonna feel perfect or anything like that. But it's the sort of thing that we're always working on. Any plans to look into Holy Grail type stuff in game? Yeah, for sure. We don't have any specific like this is how it's gonna be worked out yet. But I'd be surprised if we didn't eventually put something in. I know there's been some discussions on if there's sort of a few things we need to sort out first before we do it on how we want it to look. And it's kind of low on the priority list. So the things are like, should it allow you to remove the item? So is this an additional type of storage, or is this a way to track things that you have found? So I mean, if it's the way to track things that are found, it's basically just like an alternate achievement style system. And do we just work it into the achievement system at that point? Or is this supposed to be like a... Man, this guy is doing some work. Is this a system where it's like a stash tab that's instead of a normal stash tab, it's just like a bunch of rows. And or like is there a specific slot for every item, and you can put the item into this slot, and it's like a way to store them. And then like, okay, well, can you then take them out of that storage or not? There's a lot of little details there, and I'm not sure what people who are fond of interacting with systems like that expect. And I think those are the types of people that we need to talk to before we implemented something like this. Just because I feel like there's some expectations there. Every time I've tried to do something like that, I've just tracked it on a spreadsheet. So I don't have any examples of games that I've tried to do that on that have mechanics of that already. And if there's good references, you know, we're outside of stuff I've interacted with recently at all. So if you've got a lot of experience with something like that, and you'd really like to see certain features with that, you know, go leave a suggestions thread in the forums, and I'm sure people will be happy to interact and talk about it. And this is sparkly. I want to pick it up. Anyways, yeah. Where are we going? Can I just leave? Let's go. Pro tip: you can right-click on nodes.
Maybe, despite all that. Win-win, right? All right. Once you're done there, you should reach the crystal.
It's a suicide mission.
Oh,
No. It's actually good if you read through it. I've just read through it so many times. Do we have anything we actually want to store? Maybe for later. Yeah. Might as well. Poison res, that's probably gonna be actually really useful. Where was that? We need that damage. Fizz res, that's fine. Poison res. There we go. Right? Yeah. Where are we going now? We going this way? We're going around. Okay, are the rollbacks fixed on EU? There was a big fix that just went out focusing on that. You can look in our news channel on Discord or on our forums, and there's a bunch of info on stuff like that. I can't guarantee they're 100% fixed. There might be new reasons why the problems are happening, but the problems that were really prominent for a little while there are under control. I have hundreds of hours of LE over the years. Cool, awesome. It never occurred to me that I could use a two-head on a blade dancer. Yeah, you're not supposed to. It's horrible. I love it. I was the idiot that was playing like a melee Sork and Enchantress in D2, who had no idea how to do it. I'm like, yeah, this sword looks sweet. Let's go. As like a 10-year-old. Oh, come on, go. Idols. Oh, okay, give me a second here. Ellie res, useful. No, I'm fine. Not fantastic. But we did get some stuff that we can just straight up equip, because they're empty slots. Using Lethal Mirage as a defensive ability is so weird. But I love it. It's also offensive, but yeah. An ETN Hawkspec, the Falconer, will be out at 1.0. Is PoE overbloated? I've just started playing it, and I have to say I like it so far. But the amount of mechanics and skill trees seem too much. Aren't people just copy and paste builds from websites? maybe it's really hard to answer that question without a very deep dive. There's, I'd say, a very prominent opinion from a lot of people that it probably is a little much right now overall, but I mean, a lot of people love that, and so that's a really hard question to answer. I think it comes down to a matter of opinion mostly. My Rive Void Knight died at level 78 on Lagon on hardcore. Oh no, that sucks. Wasn't my fault. I tanked the beam. Any chance of Void Knight to get more damage reduction from skill tree in the future? Yes, maybe. If you've got specific suggestions on things like that, please put them in the forums. Alright, next question. Don't have a question, just want to say new update is awesome. Awesome, thanks. Glad you're having fun. That's what it's all about. Are you guys ever going to make it so blocking doesn't apply the ailments from the mobs? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think so. But maybe. Do I have a personal dream addition to the game that you'd love to see one day? A class option, game feature, cosmetic, etc. Fully aware this isn't a promise or future development law. Yeah. I mean, this is hard because I've had such a strong, like, hand in being able to add things for so many years now that, like, so many of the things that I like, that if I was gonna put, like, oh no, this has never happened to me before on here. We're just, our ping just spiked. Oh no. It's okay. Yeah, like, there's all the things that I'm like, this has to be in the game. Kind of already in the game. Or is already coming to the game type thing. So I don't, that list is really short if it exists at all. Like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So much of the stuff that I'm really jazzed about getting in is coming with the new master classes. I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that one. I'm sorry. Hey, from the perspective of a relatively small to mid-sized team you guys are, how difficult is it to transition to online in terms of maintaining the server? It is. Before we started doing any multiplayer stuff, like before we started doing online stuff, I thought development of this game was hard. Development of this game before online was unbelievably easy. Like, multiplayer was such a huge undertaking. Like, it's it's insane, the difference. It's like there's so many things that multiplayer does to like requirements for like what the code base is going to do, and all sorts of stuff that just doesn't exist otherwise. Like things you have to consider that you just don't have to worry about otherwise. And it's just so much. It's insane. Making a multiplayer game compared to a single player game is several orders of magnitude more difficult. It's like, yeah. Which is why we had to get help from a lot of extremely smart people that have experience with this sort of thing. Have you guys, I have a question, do you have any idea on when the bug and Lightless Arbor will be fixed? I have no information about when any bugs will be fixed. Have you guys thought about limiting the price of stash tabs? I had 41 tabs yesterday and realized that it had become too expensive. I don't have enough gold, not to mention the endgame mechanics when rewarding choice can cost over 1,000. Yeah. I think it's really appropriate that stash tabs start to become really expensive. If you think they're too expensive or you'd like to leave feedback on the matter, please head on over to our forums. Oh, come on! I need to remember that I have cleanse on 2 of my buttons. Smoke bomb and shift cleanse right now. I don't think I have potion cleanse though. No potion cleanse. Are we gonna see a new Reaper form soon? Yeah, we actually teased the visuals for the Reaper form. There's a forum post about it. It's actually been even improved since then. It's very cool. It's a lot smoother. The visuals are more representative of the base character model, but not like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's really good. It's really good. Big fan. Yeah, those are decent gloves. What are we using? Crafting break. Okay, let's try and chaos this out. Poison res. Are these just better? Lower crit chance. Poison res instead of fizz, which is fine, especially in this area. Yeah, the endurance is nice. We're gonna wear those. Alright. Did I miss them? Oh yeah. Are we gonna see new gonna do a bit with Serpent Strike. I mean the more skills will get updates and changes as we go forward, continue to. Hi, this game is quickly becoming my favorite RPG. Awesome. I was wondering if the Reaper form visuals are final. No, compared to the waiver, the visuals of the form and the animation are a bit underwhelming. I agree. The new ones are coming. They are the new ones are sweet. I saw a preview of the actual like animations and everything about a week ago, and they're real nice. There's also some like visual twists on the model depending on nodes you've taken, which is really nice. Oh, interesting. Just, is there like 3 Reaper questions in a row? I just started my first rogue. Do you think Acid Flask is a skill that can be built around? Yeah, I do. Love the way it feels and sounds. Love the game. Thanks. Yeah, Acid Flask can be. There's like, there's a sweet node in Decoy that lets it, like, it throws Acid Flasks. So you can, like, you do this one, and then you can get this here, where you get, like, 3 decoys, and they all drop a bunch of Acid Flasks all at once. And then the Acid Flasks, you can have chain Acid Flasks. Or you can do Poison Pool as well. There we are. I think that one works with it, and there's another one that they ricochet. Like if one drops, another one like pops out. I don't know where it is, but it's sweet. It's a lot of fun. I was doing specific things in this node. I think it was coming here possibly. Unlikely, I think. No, we don't want poison res shred. Armor shred, duration. What was I doing? Just get a duration point. Duration's always good. More questions. All the questions. I mean, this is a short stream today, so I'm going to try and get as many as I can in here. I do apologize if I missed any. Is the backpack in live should be? There's an announcement just went up on it. Forgive already asked, but is 1.0 launched this year? That's the prevailing goal that was leaked a little while ago, I think, on in-game chat. Was that there was that was the goal was leaked, I think. I don't think we've officially announced anything yet. I'll take that. Also, will Lich be reworked so not every build revolves around the same skill that cuts your life in half and insane DPS? I mean, there's a few very high synergy abilities in Lich. I can't look at it right now, actually. they do work really well naturally together. I really like that. It might work a little too well together, but nerfing something so that other things are more viable is kind of gross, generally. Like if that's the only reason, not because it's like too strong, but just like it's just too smooth together. Like it's, I don't know how to say this. It's like it just fits too well. You have to nerf it or something. I don't know. I think it'll be bad. Get the waypoint. YouTube. What is your opinion of having separate movement skills in PoE and Last Epoch as opposed to having a default spacebar dash like Last Arc in D4? I probably should get that quest. It's tricky. We actually tried having a dodge roll button, and I think the biggest problem for us with it was that it was class identity is one of our strongest like design pillars that we build lots of things around. Whenever we're trying to make a class, we're thinking very closely on what it is, but also what it isn't. So like when we're looking at Beastmaster abilities for minions, you may notice that there's nothing in Beastmaster. Oh, I could be wrong with this. I hope I'm not wrong, but there shouldn't be anything in Beastmaster that says like get a buff when your minions die, or like do extra damage when your minions die. I think there might be like an enrage themed one where it's like you go into like a frenzy when one of your minions dies, something like that type thing. But like, for the most part, we really don't want people to. We don't want to encourage people to kill Beastmaster minions. We do want to encourage people to kill Acolyte minions. Oh yeah, Necromancers blow up the minions. We literally give you an ability that sacrifices one of them. And so there's a lot of these like class pillars, design pillars that and like class identity is one of the big design pillars we focus on. And one thing we found was, this is actually really good that I'm on Rogue. I can display this really well. Is that Rogue really has this clear class identity with Shift? Like movement skills are a really great way to nail down class identity. And as soon as we added a dodge roll type mechanic to every class, suddenly everyone felt kind of roguelike. Not the genre roguelike, but kind of felt, all the classes kind of felt like rogues. And we didn't like what it was doing to the class identity of it, where we're like, okay, well, this part of the identity of the class is how it does its movement ability. And we actually, at that point, moved to... We then tried out like having like a dedicated movement slot and have it not be like a full skill tree. And they're like, okay, do we have that be an actual, like, is that like a 6th ability that's your movement skill? And we didn't really like that, especially on classes that could have multiple movement skills for different things. And so we've tried lots of things in this category, and because we're trying to push home class identity as a core design pillar, I think that was the biggest reason why we didn't have a dodge roll, because we didn't want you to have this like quick agile mage that was able to, like the sorcerer that's got their magic powers is how they're gonna do things, but they can do this like sweet dodge roll tumble thing, and you're like, okay. And you can start theming it a little bit differently for everyone. You have like the mage be like just this really short teleport dash thing. And then we're like, okay, well, it just feels spellbladey. And that's actually how we created Surge as an ability, was from this whole thing. So if you want the timeline on this, go find when Surge came into the game and look back about 6 months, and that's when this was all happening. So yeah. I don't think it's for Last Epoch. I really like it as a mechanic in Diablo 4. I haven't played Lost Ark, so I can't speak to that one. Alright, I just started my first road. Do you think... I think it's a short stream, it's league time? I'll give it to you a leak in 15 minutes from now. I'll do that. How about that? Is it difficult to find a balance of development resources of creating the stuff to get to 1.0 versus rebalancing, remaking old content? Yeah, absolutely. 1.0 at this point, so we spent a lot of time over the last year between 8.5 and 0.9. A lot of that time was spent, you know, bringing up the minimum polish level on a lot of things. There's a lot of enemies that got replaced, there's a lot of abilities that got replaced, there's a lot of zones that got redone. A lot of it was just sort of like bringing up that minimum quality level. Which is really important, because there's a lot of times where you're like, just like one thing that kind of sucks will just drop you right out of the whole experience. And it's really unfortunate when that happens. So we try and limit that as much as possible. But yeah, making new stuff's exciting, new stuff's interesting, new stuff will, you know, bring old players back, new stuff will sometimes be the catalyst to bring new players in. You know, like there's new stuff's awesome in a lot of different ways. Is it ever gonna do this? Maybe. It's only has 18 forging potential. Yeah, I don't want either of those. Yeah. So yeah, it's tricky, but 1.0 is the push right now for sure. Any ETA on basic transmog systems? Sometimes I end up with outdated armor models that have better stats. Not at the moment, no. Will Reaper for I'm gonna stop answering form questions. I feel like there's been some repeat ones because I wasn't answering things fast enough. What is the rationale with monsters ambushing you when you re-enter town portals? Bugs are real still? Will there be any actual use for spears in game? Yeah, I mean, you can't play Serpent Strike without a spear. Zarek thought it was funny.
Don't look at me. Trust me. Let's go thin the numbers a bit, shall we?
Yeah, Zarek, let's go. This is a sweet part of the game. Sorry about that. Just kind of hit my microphone real hard. If that was real loud, I apologize. Where are we going? Are you considered to change loot so it won't drop item level 5 in area level 50? Probably not. I know it can be adjusted from the loot filter, but newer players are mostly confused loot filter can be overwhelming. Sorry, stumbled through that question for some reason. There is, I think the answer to this more so would be having better loot filter tutorialization. With one thing that I really want to get in with the loot filter, I don't know when we're gonna have the time to do this, but a feature that we sort of like when we first came up with the in-game loot filter ideas that we put on the books in the initial ideation was having an in-game loot filter sharing system. So you could like browse other filters people have made. You could put your own, like upload your own. That's kind of why there's that description field there in the loot filter, because you can leave a description that's big enough for your own purposes in just the title, and that description field's kind of useless for most people. That's why that description field is there. Because one day we hope to have that built in, so that there's more of a like if you're not gonna customize your own filter, but you really want something that someone else has done quickly, where you can just say like, you know, filter the filters by mage filters, and be like, okay, I'm mage fireball, and there's like 10 mage fireball filters, and this one's rated 5 out of 5 stars, and there's a bunch of great comments on or something, you know, like that sort of thing. I think that helps with this a lot. But if you'd like to leave that as a suggestion, please head over to the forums into our suggestions channel. If you have a question, please put Last Epoch game in the question so I see it. I'm just skipping over ones that don't have it. Looking forward to the long-anticipated, not entirely joking, discussed Dragon Knight and Dracoform Primalist content in the future. Okay, no, it's not promised yet. Actual question. Are you looking forward to more utilization of the prehistoric era timeline for future content? Such a beautiful map and so little to explore. Yes, the ancient era is pretty flippin' awesome, and there's really not much that you can do in it yet. I really love looking around the map in different eras, and like there's really cool stuff. Like you see the cities like floating, and then it's like come crashing down. It's like, what happened there, right? Like, how did that happen? Yeah. Will you ever be able to see other players in cities like D4 and PvE? Yes, cities are. I mean, that's why you can't use abilities in cities, is because cities are non-combat zones, and we plan to have cities be much higher player count maximums than the 4 players that can exist in the world, which is like the main reason why abilities can't be used in cities, because as soon as you can have, it's really easy to crash the servers if you have 40 people in a city and they're all using abilities. That zone goes down real fast when that happens. It's a lot better now since the last time we tried that, but still, it's not something we're interested in. Also, it's real hard to like navigate to NPCs and talk to vendors and open your stash if there's meteors falling all around you all the time, you know? Do you like the idea of account-wide progression, or do you prefer each character having their own journey? It depends on, so for some things, I think it's really good to have shared journeys, or, and a lot of this comes down to personal preference as well, because so you have, like, your item collection is the main part of a lot of people's journeys for this sort of thing. And so you play solo, you're going to have, I do not want that. It's a terrible charm. Idle.
Well, hey,
Let's go, buddy.
fall off. All we got to do is steer Talon towards the temple, and she should take care of the rest for us.
I love this sequence.
It looks like the Ospreys went to front of us borrowing their bird. Get ready for a fight.
That's right, I'm mounting ballistas on a bird's back. Let's get some more questions going here. Oh yeah, account-wide progression. So yeah, and like, so usually, what I think this question is hinting at, and I could be wrong, but usually what questions like this hint at is monolith progression. And I think that's still a very lively debate that could be had
We're hit. Grab onto something.
on whether or not that's good to be regular or account bound. And there's lots of middle grounds there too. So you could have some sort of item, some sort of consumable that you could collect on your first character through and use on subsequent characters to speed that process up as well. I think that would be a nice middle ground. But we'll see what happens. All right. Next question. Any plans to be able to link items in chat, and if so, when? Yes, hopefully very soon. I know someone's working on that right now. I would say that's probably a 0.91 thing when I say very soon. I doubt that would be something we would include in the hotfix patch, but maybe. But yeah, it's in the works. Okay. Next question. Dude, my Reperform question is not about new appearance, but how it works. Why don't you answer it? Because I just saw more Reperform questions and skipped over it. I'll go look. Will the Reperform ever be reworked to resemble Druid forms? No, this goes back to our class identity thing. We very intentionally have the different forms. So like, this is one of the things like Druid, Beastmasters have when their companions go down, you can res them. Acolyte, Necromancer minions go down, you can't. This is another one of those changes. We want the transformations to feel very different and behave very different depending on which class you're in. So if you're playing Acolyte, we want the Reperform to feel mechanically very different, like fundamentally distinct from the Druid forms, and having like the abilities replacing on the Druid form but not on the Reaper form. You get one new ability on Reaper, and then having it be that constant drain, because Acolyte Lich in general plays into a lot of that health manipulation stuff, and it hits all those those theming notes really nicely. So I don't think we'd ever change it to be very similar to Druids for those reasons. I gotta find where I was again. Yeah, it's at that. There we go. Any plans for animation set updates for any class other than Primalist and Necromancer? I mean, we're always updating things like that. Those are just the next ones on the list, probably. We'll read for. There's the question again. Sorry. I did just answer it that time. I swear. Do you use different loot filter for internal testing versus stream versus just for playing for fun? No. Well, the filters are saved on different accounts. So like the internal test servers will save different user accounts. So I don't have access to the same filters. So like I'm really lazy when it comes to filter setups, and like my filters are so basic that I'll slap them up in like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. That they end up being very similar, but I do make individual ones for different situations. Like my filter right now is very basic. It's actually a pretty complex one for me. I usually just like hide the low tier items. Here I've hid items that are not for this class, just for the stream. So yeah, I do things differently for stream. You're right there. I wouldn't have that on normally. I'm currently thinking a lot about trying to buy LE. Do you have any future plans for in-game market leaderboards, something around interactions between people? Yes. So there's a huge post that I would direct you to about item factions. Just search item factions. Last Epoch, Google it, or on our forum site. Big post there. The TLDR of it is you'll be able to pick between access to a auction house, the bazaar, or tools for better target farming specific loot, and like different drop bonuses and things like that. But you still party together and play together, things like that. And the leaderboards, yeah. We had to turn the ladders off. There was problems with they're coming back. So yes, there will be ladders, and not just ladders for one thing. We do plan to have ladders for various types of things that could happen. So yes to all that stuff. Out of the missing masteries, which one are your team most excited about? I can't give the whole team because like you ask that to the team and it'll be a pretty even split down the board. But personally, I'm most interested in Falconer. Having said that, there's things about the other ones that just get me too. Spike! Welcome, big old raiding party coming in. Welcome everyone from there. Glad to have you with us. If this is your first time in the stream and you have a question for me, please put at Last Epoch Game in the question. I don't have a ton of time left. We're doing a short stream today. I might try and stretch it a little bit if I'm really far behind on questions. We will give I do have a teaser, little spoiler. Oh no, I didn't size it properly. Wait. Here we go. Should get a question that I can answer in the meantime. This is... Come on, there we go. So this is a little kind of concept art, in-game concept thing for something that's unnamed and unrevealed so far. So I'm not going to tell you what this is, what it's for, any of that stuff. But this is something that's coming for something. Let's just more questions while that's up. Is there any plans to improve the overall looks of Ellie? I mean, we're always doing that, so yes. Is Blade Shield not meant to work with Pierce on Ethereal Blade's passives? I don't know what those do off the top of my head. I am pretty sure they are not meant to. I'm pretty sure one of them actually says they don't work. But I could be wrong. Will you be doing things for alts? Took mine to I look at my 400 corruption on my main and dread my alt. I already would make use of a taxi for my friends to quicker level unlock stuff, but would still need to do idols, passive, infinite low level echoes to gain power again. This is a pretty broad topic. I don't think I have enough time to answer full details today. Master Sword has resubbed for 23 months in a row. That's insane. We're almost at that 2-year mark. That's so cool. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. Pretty sure that's the full 2 years we've been, like, that'll be 2 years that we've been doing this. The alts question gets brought up a lot. It's something we've been hesitant to do too much for, but it's not impossible. So I like to say, you know, go to the forums, leave a feedback thing there, and we read them, we look at them, all that sort of stuff. Spike has re-rated us. Another rating party. Thank you very much. All right. Are you going to be able to copy paste a rule? I find I frequently want a lot of my presets to have the same rule, but can't freely move through through presets. You can copy. Yeah, there's. It would be nice if you could copy a rule from one to another. You can duplicate them inside of a filter, and you can duplicate filters themselves. But you can't copy one from one filter to another filter yet. I'd say that's something that I'd like to see. All the suggestions are great. If I've reacted positively or negatively to a suggestion here, I will forget it as soon as the stream ends. So do not take me reacting to a suggestion as something that I'm going to put into the game or do anything like that, because they're one in one ear out the other right now. Because I just get so many of them. So you got to go leave them on the proper places for things like that, or else they'll just get lost. Do you plan to explain more what Raya is? Or is he just a mystery demigod? Well, Raya is a full-on god, not just a demigod. Yeah, like there's a lot more lore stuff coming. Excuse me. The game's missing really some sort of cinematic properties for like in between chapters and things like that. Having just like little cutscenes to like help push the story along. Like they don't have to be huge and sweeping and grand to just like get a little bit of that story in there, and you can communicate a lot more in the story in a 1 minute video than you can in a bunch of text that people are not going to read. You know, there is a lot of lore stuff in the game. Some of it's kind of hidden, some of it's environmental. You know, we plant seeds all over the place, and there's interesting things that people do catch and ask questions about that I think is really cool. And we are looking to make it to get a little bit more in your face, a little faster, a little easier to adjust without having to hunt for it. It's a fine balance, because I know a lot of people don't care. Even if it's great story, they just don't care. And having not skippable story stuff can be really frustrating to a lot of people. So we're aware of that dichotomy. More questions. Here we go. I know I go a little slow sometimes. Sorry. There's a lot of people here. My goodness. Hi, everybody. Can you explain what cast speed for totems does? Oh, this one gets me. There's certain things in the game that I'm just like, I don't know what that does. It's either the speed you cast totems at, or it's the speed that totems cast thing at. Because it is cast speed for totems, this is a stat you're giving to your totems. So this is your totems will cast things faster. I'm like 80% sure. Are there any plans to add more diverse maps for echoes? Yeah. The lake map, for example, it's big and open and less following a corridor like most maps are. Yeah, there's a couple. We're looking at some of the bigger ones, splitting them up, so they're smaller, and you know you can pack more mobs in a smaller area type thing. There's also features missing from that still, so I'll stay on that one. Is Blade Shield... answer that. I haven't played in a while. How is multiplayer coming along? I mean, it's out, so it's coming along great. We are playing online right now. I'm not playing... Oh, yeah, I knew that was... Is there... Yeah. I mean, we're not doing fire damage, so those implicits are kind of poo-poo, but... Explicits. I do dare to stand against you. Deal with it. Is there a chance the Fracture Crown unique will be added to targeted loot? Maybe it's me, but I have had some bad luck trying to get one. Where are we? bad luck trying to craft one, I think, something, or even dropping with the right stats to start crafting on. Yeah, it's a very unique item. It's a bit of a callback to our old crafting system. So in our old crafting system, you had to actually you could fracture items. So there was like always, every time you crafted anything on an item, there was a chance they would just break it instantly. And people didn't like that, to put it nicely. So we changed the crafting system, and it's way better now. But there was a chance if you ever bricked a crown item in the old one, you fractured it, it became a fractured crown, and it became the unique. I really like that it's tricky to get, and it's not like a normal unique and things like that. I think it's unlikely that we'll make too many changes to it, but I could see that being the sort of thing that like comes in a prophecy, you know, like especially if there's more uniques that are found that way. But because it is such a unique, I'd say there's a low chance of having any systematic things that affect that. Yeah. Things are getting spicy. Lethal Mirage is lethal. Any plans to improve overall? Yeah, I already answered that. To an early question about movement, doesn't every class have the ability to make a skill have movement? Yes. So how is, say, having that movement skill slot break class identity? Having that movement on a separate slot doesn't break class identity. We just didn't want to add a 6th skill to the bar. So forcing, it's that if you'd have to make a unique, the mechanics of each movement skill are unique. And so if you have a generically mechanical movement ability for each class, that's where the problem is. Any plans for more classes after the original 5? Long term, of course. I think you'll likely see more mastery classes before you see more base classes. But yes, we do have some loose plans for specific masteries and classes post-launch. There are some very intentional gaps in like there's some very intentional gaps in class fantasies on things like that we're like, okay, well, let's make sure we don't take this class too far in this direction so that we leave room for that other class later, you know? So if there's something that you're like, why don't they have this in the game? Yeah, that's why. Any plans to make entangling routes more accessible in Spriggan form? Like having it trigger off things more, not specifically. If you got a suggestion, head to the forums. Guys, have you considered adding the ability, probably, to change subclasses and just switch between open blessings? Yes, we've definitely considered that, because it's been asked a bajillion times. We have no plans to do it at the moment. Doesn't mean it will never happen, but you know, we're focusing on polish and improvements right now. I don't want to say it will happen either. Like there are no plans regarding it at the moment. But yes, we have definitely considered it. Dozens of times. My friend was having a blast until they got to the end game and they say it's spiked in difficulty way too fast. Like his Lich minions died on the gun instantly. Oh my goodness. That's what I get for just ignoring what's happening. Stuff died on the gun really fast. Not able to target farm items because not being able to clear bosses and counter them. What would I say to that? I mean, the difficulty curve is... It's a really difficult thing to have function nicely for really well-oiled machine builds, and have it function nicely for maybe less optimized builds. I have no idea how well optimized this person's build was at all. But so we quite often get feedback that things are simultaneously too hard and too easy. We get that a lot. Let me race through this. I'm stuck doing super easy content. I think there was a question earlier that actually mentioned this. And then we also get feedback. It's like the difficulty spiked so hard, and I was like just doing what it was telling me to do, and I couldn't make it through, and I had to go back to do old content, and that felt bad. And it's this tricky thing to do, to like give players the tools to go forward into harder content faster if they can handle it, and not even know that they can go into harder content forward if they can't handle it. And I don't think that's really possible, so it's kind of a joke. But I think that's the hardest part of this whole thing, is because we quite often get this feedback from both. I have the tools to do this, and I'm just talking and getting. Don't focus on the game, Mike. It doesn't matter. Focus on the questions. All right. Yes, that's roughly what I'm going to say on that topic. And I'm going to move on. I would like the life drain paused when you are out of combat. Oh, this is referring to Lich. In and out of combat is a loose distinction for us right now. I understand the suggestion. If you've got suggestions, please head on over to the forums and leave them there. Alright, I want this. I earned it. Yes, let me go fast. Where am I going? What am I doing? Rolling around at the speed of sound.
Easy. Too easy.
Oh gosh, did I just drag like half the map here with me? This is gonna go well. Oh, just right here. Okay, cool. This is gonna go great. Okay, back to questions. I get caught playing and then I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing stuff, aren't I? Where are we here? Questions. Is Blade Shield not meant to work? Sorry, I've answered this a few times. I don't know. It may say it does. It may say it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what those passives do. I don't know them by their names. Tell them what the node names are under the hood, and I probably know which ones they are. I guess I'm on a rogue. I could look it up, couldn't I? Oh, fun question. Is there any plans to give druids more caster options versus everything having to do with totems? Maybe. I don't think there's any missing abilities at the moment on druid. A lot of it's taken up by transform abilities. But there is that sort of like missing caster element that I think once we start adding new abilities to the masteries, because like there's still room to add abilities in. So like this one's messed up. This one's actually supposed to be here. Synchronized Strike should be 5 levels higher. And then so like there's a missing one here. So there'll be 4 on each passive tree when we start. There won't be one here, but there's room for 1 more to go here, a second one to go here, a third one to go here, like a 4th one to go here. There's room for there's room for 5 more skills that could go on the passive tree if we wanted to. I don't think we'd ever do that many and fill it up completely, but there's room for more things there, and I can see caster being a bit more of a focus on druid abilities, like whatever the next druid ability that comes in. I could see that. I don't know. Do you have plans to release an API for things like Twitch extensions, other out-of-game projects for us hobbyists? Tenuous long-term plans, yes. Do you have any plans to streamline monoliths and blessings for 1.0? If the question being... yes, but that's a very open-ended statement and can mean literally, like, we've done something tiny to answer that, yes. Nothing specific or major, so that we don't have any plans at the moment to, for example, allow you to just open your blessings menu and like select a different blessing or anything like that. We don't have plans for that. But if you have suggestions for it that you'd like to get considered, please head on over to the forums. Another question, Mike. You can do it. When seasons start, will it be easier to find 3 or 4 LP? The difficulty of that, we have no plans of changing dramatically. There might be some specific mechanic that gets introduced in one of them that does specific things around that possibly, but like it's not like we're gonna just turn that dial up and be like, all right, everyone gets 3 and 4 LPs, no problem. No. Oh my god, there was the other raiding party. I'm so far behind. I'm like 15 minutes behind here. Anyways, so here's where I was gonna end right now. I'll stretch it a little bit here because I'm so far behind. I'm sorry. Are there any ways or plans to implement more increased pet size aside from 2 Beastmaster Passerinos? I'd love to get a Godzilla Raptor. Probably not. It's already getting a little on the big side, but it's possible it could happen. I've kind of just answered maybe to like every question here. It's so hard to answer like other plans for the specific thing because like the stuff that there are plans for is kind of either secret or like not like all these things that, you know, that's, if we had plans for them we would have just done it type thing. But when I say there's no plans, I also don't mean that there are specifically plans to not do it. I mean like there's just no plans around it. Are there any plans to streamline? I already answered that. Oh, this was actually about alt characters. What this question was about, it looks like the ability to save and store blessings and re-equip them. Oh yeah, okay, it was like that. Plus having empowered immediately available for new characters. The problem with having empowered immediately available for new characters, this kind of falls back into the whole like having these extra challenges available to players that can't handle them, and they don't know they can't handle them. But still trying to make those challenges available to players that can handle them. And so you don't push people into situations that are way too hard for them, but because it's available to do, it feels like it should be done. So you look at something and go like, okay, well, I'm able to go do that empowered monolith, so I should be like able to do it, right? Well, no, you're gonna get your ass handed to you. And having that happen, it's really not a good experience, especially for people who are maybe like genre veterans and new Epoch players. I think would get really frustrated at that because they maybe are bringing assumptions in from other games, which makes sense, but it's causing unreasonable expectations on their own power levels, and so we've seen that a fair bit. Similar to the above, curious why not doing blessings as like a permanent highest value unlocked feature, and maybe every run you do, you can just pick your highest value you have ever unlocked there, or the new ones, something to make it not as painful to swap blessings, but not starting over. That's a lot here. And for alts, you know, there's a lot of stuff here. We've always pictured the monolith as a like your character's progression through the world, your character's progression through these systems. And oh, they're coming for me. and having these things carry over from character to character, it's sort of been pretty like strongly against those sort of core design for the monolith in general. Now, not to say it'll never happen by any means, but that's sort of why it wasn't there initially, at least. And as for the blessings not being permanent, oh god, go to despair. Not being able to switch back and forth between blessings. I mean, we always felt it was like having these semi-permanent decisions was like interesting and gave more weight to the decisions themselves, where you can actually where you're sitting there and you're going, okay, well, like, what am I going to pick? This is going to change how things go for a little bit. But having that, oh gosh, having those decisions be easily changeable. And maybe it's possible that it's too restrictive now, but having those decisions be just like, go into the menu, just pick whichever one you got there, no problem. Gives those decisions, it's more like you're unlocking a setting than you are receiving, like, it goes back to the theming of the thing itself. So like, you go, you complete this quest, this mission, this timeline, you've helped restore this timeline, you helped improve it, okay, and you're receiving this blessing that's happening at the time of you receiving this blessing, and it's like this god or entity or something that's saying like, okay, here's this blessing you're getting right now, and these are your options of blessings you can have. And the theming might have to shift a little bit in order to get to mechanics that are more popular. But we'll see what happens. We may just have to loosen up the hold on the theming if we want. I don't know. This is very speculative. But a little bit of background into why it is the way it is. How come you cannot get Frenzy Totem as Shaman? Shamans are all about totems, hurricanes, etc. Yeah, that totem is just so minion focused. It's just like so much better on minions. And it's while Shamans are primarily totems, and they need an extra totem on Shaman still. It just fits so well. Is it not below the line? I guess it must be above the line. I thought Frenzy Totem was below the line. Take a quick peek here. Where's Frenzy Totem? There it is, 25. It is just above the line. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just because it's so much a such a minion focused ability. And that's all it is. Back to questions. Is there an up-to-date dev roadmap? No, I can give you one right now. Missing masteries. Polish. There's a roadmap. That's it. There's gonna be other stuff too, but if we were gonna make a roadmap, that's probably all we'd put on it right now. We have a lot of features that were like, okay, we want to get this in for this patch, or we want to get this in for 1.0. But a lot of it's just like, okay, this is cuttable if it comes down to it. And a lot of it's just like little things. Okay, we'll get it in, but come on. Will Falcon have similar restrictions that Marksman and Blade Dancer have in terms of the weapon type it requires for skills? Or referring to bow and dual wielding restrictions? I'm sure there will be. I shouldn't say that. There are definitely less restrictions. I'm trying to remember what all the skill names were. I don't think any of the Falconer abilities that are specific to Falconer have a weapon requirement. I don't think any of them do. I don't think any of the Falconer abilities have a weapon requirement. Oh, I'm gonna regret saying that. I know I am. Alright, any plans of giving other classes access to bows or any more ranged weapon types? I'd love to give Primalist access to bows specifically, and possibly Sentinel. Those are the two classes that I'd love to give access to bows. It's not going to happen pre 1.0, I can tell you that for sure. I'd say there's a very... I would be surprised if we don't give them access to bows at some point after 1.0. I'd be very surprised. Run! Right, Mike, you're here for questions, not for playing. But I want to get the campaign done. Okay, yeah, fine. Any fun starter build you recommend to someone returning to LE? Yeah, I mean, it depends what you like. My advice generally for people who are just like, what should I play? I'm like, what do you like? What's the sort of style? What's the sort of thing that you've played in other games like this that you really enjoyed? Where's your passion line, that sort of stuff, and kind of just roll with it and just make something as you're going. If you get close to being able to like do super endgame stuff, like you can take most reasonable builds to endgame, and like you can take it takes a little bit more to get to like late endgame usually, but like most builds can be adapted if you're close. Oh my gosh, no way. Okay, we're staying here. I'm just gonna answer. I'm gonna rapid fire some questions off, and then we'll call it a day here. Fun starter build. 2-mana Blade Dancer, loving it. Was the Primalist modeled after you? The original version of the Primalist. There's an old version of the Primalist. No, that one doesn't have it. I don't have a good image of it. There was a version of the Primalist that they did use my face to make, yes. The current Primalist has since been redone from scratch without my face as the base. So if you find some old screenshots, you can see something that looks a lot like me, actually. You see anything in D4 beta that you wanted to steal for LE? No. I really try to separate myself from other games when I'm designing stuff for LE. But it leaks in. You know, there's so many things that are great about D4 that would not work in LE at all. And there's so many things that are great about LE that would not work in D4 as well. So it's hard to do things like that. I did have a lot of fun with it though, so I really enjoyed myself. Why are the town portals designed to respawn all the monsters on top of you when you return from town? They're not designed that way. Is this intentional? No. Does Rogue get more base skills? Other classes have 3 skills, and Rogue is this on purpose. Rogue's just not finished yet. All of them will have the same number of skills at launch. Part of that is that the base skills are frequently designed where we'll be like, okay, this is and Rogue's a little different because there's skills that are both. We'll be like, okay, this is a Blade Dancer skill. This is a Marksman skill. Even in the base, we sometimes we give them like little shoves onto one side or the other. And Rogue is the youngest of all the classes, so it just hasn't had as much time to get new skills added to it. And the skills we did add felt so great, we didn't feel a need to push as many in, and yada yada yada. And Falconer is such a... Yeah, they'll all have the same number. Are there any plans to implement different animations for the same skill depending on the weapon type? Yes, they all have that already. Hey Mike, what's a cool feature from other games? Oh, sorry, I just realized you mean VFX, not animation, probably. All of the animations are unique for each weapon type, so like it's slightly different. I know it looks very similar. Well, two-handed might be the same. Okay, well, they do all have unique animations. Some of them are very similar. Sometimes they're the same if it's the same hand-holding situation. Usually it's split, I think, on like staves, spears, other two-handed weapons, wands, other one-handed weapons. I think is how the split happens. Hey Mike, what's a cool feature from other games that you'd like to add to LE? Yeah, no. I mean, there's little things like affinity tabs in the stash. Let's go with that. But that's like it's hard because like that's been in the planning document for our stash system since the very beginning, and it's so hard to like look at that system and say like, oh, I'd love to take that. It's like, well, we came up with that independently, I swear. It's just so hard to do. It doesn't matter though. Any plans on being able to skip campaigns for alt characters, given that we at least completed the campaign once? No, we don't have any plans at the moment. We do have plans to alter the accessibility of dungeons as use for skips in early campaign, and throughout the campaign. So dungeons, if you don't know, are also campaign skips. There's some restrictions that make it very difficult to actually utilize them properly on alt characters, but we want to make that more enticing, forgiving, and appealing and good. I was referring to an old question. I don't know what the question was. I was more referring to the fact that in a new cycle, if you reach monoliths with one character, make it to where the empowereds are unlocked on your future characters, you need to reach empowered on your first character for it. Yep, I understood that in the question. I remember that question. Any plans on the release of 1.0? Absolutely. What's the consensus around modding? Regarding online multiplayer play, no. Will the Falconer transform to an actual falcon? Transforming is not what we're considering for a rogue skill theming at the moment. Have you guys considered any point to not use classic Diablo health and mana spheres? Come up with your own alternative for yourself? Yes, you can look at the Kickstarter demo video, and it has a different system that I still loved. We did before that. We had another different one. Then we switched to the one that we see in Kickstarter. We modified it a couple times, and like the feedback we just kept getting from everyone was just like, just go to Diablo style health globes, just do it. And like every time, everyone was just like, no, just it ain't broke, don't fix it, guys. And we're like, fine. Hello, Mike. Don't know if anybody asked this. Probably, but that's okay. But do you guys are okay with the state of crit bow builds and how crit vulnerability got nerfed? And do you guys ever plan on adding any other way to more easily scale crit chance on it? Like, for example, new bows, quivers, base types with flat critical chance on it. I don't have any specific things I can speak to it. If you have suggestions, please head over to the forums. I recognize that name. I know you knew I was going to say that. Oh, and we got to the end of the questions. I'm caught up. Any roadmap for the pipeline to reveal? We're going for 1.0. We're pushing. There's a lot of new masteries to go. There's work on the. There's lots of skills to put in. There's work on early campaign stuff that we're putting in. There's a lot of flex features. Will Rune Master skills have void damage support? No. Rune Master will still be primarily fire, cold, ice, fire, cold, lightning. It's time for me to go. I had a wonderful time. I had fun. I hope you did too. If you here's the last one. Is Rune Master going to be a trap based class? It's not. The core theming of it is not traps. Okay, here we are. I'm done now. I had fun. I hope you did too. We're gonna go say hi to people. If you have any more questions that I didn't answer and you'd like them answered, please head on over to our Discord. We have an Acid Devs channel, tons of great stuff there. If you have any bugs, please go to our forums, bug reports there. If you have suggestions, forums, or suggestions channel, we do look through all this sort of stuff. We don't respond to most of them because there's just so many that comes in. We do read them. Yeah. We're done. Thanks for stopping by. Let's go say hi to a friend who's having a big event today, I think. Yeah. It's a good stream. A little shorter than usual. Usually we do 2 hours. Start an hour earlier than that normally. But I'll be back next week. Have a great time. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.